Welcome back to the 6 a.m. Club, where we start our day inspired. Like every week, I have a new quote for you, and today we're just gonna jump directly at our quote. And our quote says, "Sometimes letting things go is an act of greater power than defending or hanging on." Let me read it one more time. I took a couple of times of reading it to really get to what this means. So let's go one more time. Sometimes letting things go is an act of greater power than defending or hanging on. When I read this 2 or 3 times, I'm like, yes, this is true. And yes, this quote is meant for me. Why do I say this? Because sometimes when it comes to ideas and when I'm really passionate about an idea and I truly believe in that idea, I tend to hang on to it a little bit too long, a little bit too strong. I can be a little bit too obstinate with my ideas. But this is not only for ideas, right? It can also apply to relationships, for example. It's harder and it takes more power to let go of someone versus just accepting, defending, finding excuses or reasons to hang on to that relationship, to that person. Or maybe it's about things. We were talking this month about spring cleaning and how many times we tell ourselves, okay, I am going to get rid of everything. And as we start picking on things and getting ready to donate them or throwing them away, we always find an excuse to hang on to them, to keep them because of a memory, or maybe because we start to justify, what if this random situation happens and I need this thing and I don't have it? And we tend to hang on to things. Maybe this is not you, and today's quote doesn't talk to you at all. It does to me, because I can be that person sometimes, especially with ideas, but sometimes with things as well. Not so much with relationships or people, but whether it's one or the other, maybe something else for you. The truth is that it takes real power to let go of things, ideas, or relationships. It is more comfortable to just stay where we are because it's then step outside of our comfort zone into the unknown, because we don't know how things are going to be if a different idea gets adopted versus ours. Or we don't know how life will look like without that person or that thing in our lives. And as human beings, we tend to like our comfort zones. Let's be realistic, right? It's the fear of the unknown, of what is on the other side, outside of that comfort. Even if that comfort zone, it's not that comfortable anyway, because it's painful, because it's sucking your energy, but we'll rather stay there than step into the unknown. And that is the reason why this quote is so true. It's a greater act of power to let go. And when I think about it for a second, isn't it true that there's been times in your life when you have hung on to something or defended something for too long, and then one day, for some reason, you let go? And once you let go, you ask yourself, why didn't I let go of this thing or this idea of this relationship earlier? Like, grass is in fact greener on the other side after letting go. It's like this big weight has been lifted from your shoulders, and now you have the energy to focus on something new, something better, something bigger, something more fulfilling. that you were not able to focus on or to even see that existed because your vision was blurred by you hanging on to that idea, to that thought, to that relationship, to that thing. Isn't it that true? I want you to think about this for a minute because I am 99% convinced that you have experienced this at least once in your life, if not more often. It had happened to me many times. I don't know how many, but many times. Let's just leave it at that. That I have been obstinated about something, especially an idea, as I was saying before. And at one point, I was resisting letting go of it. I was defending that idea. I was hanging on to that idea because I thought the world revolved, or at least my world revolved about this idea. Because I thought that if I let go, I was afraid of judgment, or I was afraid of not being good enough, or I was afraid of you fill the blanks. And I just hung on to that. And then one day I let go and I'm like, oh, that was easy or easier than I thought. And now I feel so relieved. It's like all this weight had been lifted from my shoulders. And now I have the capability to focus on other ideas, other thoughts, other projects that have even more potential than the one I was hanging on to. So my invitation this week for you is think about what is one thing, one idea that you're hanging on right now, that you're defending and it's sucking your energy right now. Imagine if you were to let go. I know it can feel scary right now, but what other things could you give that energy and that power to that had in return the power to be more powerful in your life? I hope this lets you thinking today and just reflecting on what is that one thing you're hanging on today that while it will take a great power to let go, it has in return the power to drastically change and impact your life in the best way possible. I hope you have an amazing weekend. I will see you here back next week, not next week, next Monday for a new episode of the Leading Yourself podcast.